What happens during an orgasm energetically?
Alignment. Alignment.
And this is why I wanted to continue on with this, because I knew everybody would, but it's the alcohol, There is obviously a blending of the physical and non-physical. While alignment during physical, goosebump, happy, and meditational moments feel similar in some aspects, it's still different. It's not as intense.
Less momentum.
Okay. It's not as intense.
Really good answer.
Less momentum?
Less momentum.
Less momentum.
Meditation is a sort of slowing of momentum. In other words, we talked about that, but there's no slowing of momentum in what is leading up to that orgasm.
Okay. Let me see. I think I'm just seeing if I need to refine even further, because you answered that perfectly. Oh boy. I'm going to just continue reading where I was, just so.
Well, think about the components of that. In other words, we've been talking about 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds. And the thing about that experience personally, even though you may be with another person.
Right. Well,
we got that from you. Is that there is a personal and selfish focus and sort of undivided attention. Okay. In other words, there is no subject that is more helpful in the discussion of momentum than this one. Because there are a few subjects that get your attention.
Right.
That in the moment of the process you are willing to hold yourself, and it's a mental thing more than it is anything else.
Right.
That when your mind is wandering all over the place, it's different than when you are focused.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So is there anything, you know what, you've answered the question, your infinite intelligence. I mean, I have one more thing too.
And there is nothing more sensual or sexual than alignment. In other words, people think that it's mortal and that it's physical, but it isn't. It's non-physical. It's alignment.
Okay, perfect.
And don't you think that that's a perfect blending, that the very reason and possibility of your existence is tied in to that?
Right, that's what I was getting. That's okay, perfect.
Yeah. Things that matter get the highest attention from source.
That's exactly what I was looking for. I have one more quick thing, and it's not sexual, so don't worry about it.
And we're not trying to get you to conceive every time you have that experience. It just fits nicely together, we think.
That's beautiful. Since there really is no thing as linear time, when a soul...
Have you seen that thing?
Yeah, well, ignore that. But am I wrong in that? I mean, because I'm really into science and the universe, and when you start actually getting into space and time, it's completely crazy. I mean, there's really kind of no time. And or what we experience is a linear time. And
we'll listen to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. When a soul or source decides to reemerge into physical, can they reemerge at any point in what we consider linear time for the experience?
Well, there was something that we wanted to stick in just before you got there, but it works well this way too.
Okay.
And that is that, of course, now that you're here, you measure distance, you measure space, you measure time, you measure depth, you measure, all of your ability to perceive, you've found ways of measuring, and the measuring has come by reason of comparison. In other words, it's just logical, isn't it, that there is a way of measuring all of that. And that's of value to you. That serves you really well. But there is an aspect of time that we want to put all of the attention upon, and that is the moment of now. This meeting place where the physical and the non-physical converge. Everything is now. Jerry and Esther played with their staff the first time they went to Australia, as they said, it's tomorrow where we are, and you're really going to like it when you get there. But of course that was playful but wrong, because whether they were in Australia where it was Thursday or San Antonio where it was Wednesday, it was still now. They were still conversing in the now. In other words, when you do anything, a good way to focus on it is when you're talking to someone on your cell phone, or when you're talking to us who are speaking to you from a non-physical dimension where there is not time. Still, we are rendezvousing with you in your now. Okay. So when a non-physical energy makes the decision to come into physical experience, it's going to be now. It's not going to be then.
Okay, so
it's not going to be in the 18th century or the 15th century or the 14th century. It's going to be now. It's going to be now. And now, it doesn't matter what humans have decided to call now in terms of the year that they're giving it or whatever label they're giving it, it's still now. And it is still the furthest, most expanded moment in time in all of the universe. It's the leading edge place where Source wants to go. And Source is always reaching outward. And so it's really an interesting thing when we talk about now being forward, but it is. Now is always forward. Now is always forward. You're always reaching forward. You're never reaching back. There is no regression. There is no going back, ever, about anything. Never. No one. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
You've been talking about not getting what you think you want, and it can be because it's not a match of your vibration, of what is in the vortex.
Before you go further, we just want to stick something in. You're always getting what you're feeling.
Yeah.
You're always getting what you're feeling. So if you're not in touch with your feelings, it might feel like it comes out of the blue, and we say not out of the blue, out of the oblivious. But you're always getting what you think and how you feel. And what manifests always match. And so if something surprised you, you're just not in touch with how you feel. That was good.
So what I'd like to know, I'd like to work with people in my practice. And I've been doing the things to get to it, like in classes and working on it and getting everything done. So I'd like to bridge that. Is it not showing up because I'm looking at the result, what's not showing up? Or is it because it's not a match and it's not what?
Well, you have to sort of figure that out. In other words, whoever is wanting and not getting is the only one who can really accurately acknowledge. In other words, we don't think that there is anyone who is really confused if they will take the time to think about it. That when something happens, how often do you say, I knew that was going to happen? I saw that coming. Or I've been feeling that coming, or my gut told me about that. You have the ability to be more in touch, you say. Well, the easy way, the easiest way that we have found to explain it is we say there are two ways to know what you're creating. One is to feel it while you're creating it. The other is to notice it once it shows up. That's it. Well, if you wait till it's shown up, there's been enough momentum that you've missed. But now it's there, at least you know. So now you have options. If you want more things like that, and if you want to think that going, then keep thinking about that. Keep feeling around that. This is simpler than you all let it be. Much simpler than you let it be. We think the thing that makes it hard is you think you've got to look at what is. And when you look at what is, you offer a vibration, then you get more of it, and then you feel stuck in it, and you're not. Things are always changing, and people say, no, they're not. Things are always changing. People say, no, they're not. We say, they're always changing. It's just that when you're looking at what is, they're changing, but they're changing to more of the same.
Yeah, I'm still comparing like what I want, and then I create it again.
Yeah. So if you don't like what's going on, then get out ahead of it. And how do you get out ahead of it? You catch yourself at a weak moment when you've got no momentum, when you're no longer beating the drum of something that you don't want, and you find a way to goose up your thought about it. As we play together, maybe even today, would you like to take subjects that are important to you and improve momentum about them? We'll start with you. So pick a subject that is important to you and let's increase momentum about it. Now, before you do that, well, give us a subject, and then we're going to find the most general place so that we can get on the wheel, and then we'll just get the momentum going.
Doing classes with and having clients and playing with.
All right, so you want to find an effective way of helping people what?
To have more joy.
Of helping people be happier.
Yeah.
You want to find a way of helping people be happier. So now, as you're thinking about that subject, what's the thought that comes to your mind first about that? Are the people that you're thinking about helping happy now? Of course not.
No, they can improve it. That's why they're looking for
that's
something.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about people who aren't happy, and I want to offer some classes and some suggestions to help them be happier. So would you say that spinning grid disc is about here?
Yeah.
So how happy is that?
Not that much.
Not that happy. So is there anything that you can think of that starts in a higher place? In other words, the same subject is at the basis of this, but is there anything that you might do to personally position yourself on a higher flying vibration to start this conversation?
When I look at previous classes.
Right now.
When I looked at previous classes and the results they had, and at the end of the day, they went away with tools and were happy. So.
All right. So now talk to us about that. Let's get momentum going about that.
Like in what we did or whatever?
I like helping people.
Yeah, I like them showing that they knew already and give
I
them
like
tools.
activating in people knowing that they already have. I like helping people remember that happiness is a normal thing for them.
Yeah, and it's possible.
I like having their attention long enough that they can begin to feel their happiness descend on them. I like like-minded people coming together who really want to be happy. I like being the leader of that happy group. I like the feeling of when people have those aha moments. I like watching improvement in people's lives. I like knowing that it doesn't have to happen all at once. I like even knowing that it hardly ever happens all at once. I like knowing that we just have this general ability to get feeling better and better all the time. I like knowing that I'm a catalyst to help people feeling better. I like knowing that I'm really good at what I do. I like knowing that I can get tuned in and I get inspiration in the moment. I like knowing that it's not the same thing for everyone, that it's sort of an intuitive different thing that happens. And I like knowing that when I get tapped in, I know just what to say. I like knowing that I don't have to necessarily be in a class to be the leader of that sort of thing. I like knowing that I can uplift anyone anywhere if they're sort of kind of in the vicinity. And I like knowing that I can keep myself there. And I often do. I really like what I do. I'm good at what I do. I have a really good life. I like being happy. I like feeling good. I want other people to be happy too. There's so many things in this world that are joyful in nature, that the nature itself is joyful. It's very common for people to be looking into nature and feeling good. This planet has so many beautiful aspects. There are so many wonderful things that make people happy. This is a wonderful thing. We live in a time of such abundance. Anything that we want is readily available for most of us. These are really happy times. These are good times. This is the highest probability of the most people being happy than ever, ever, ever has existed on this planet before. These are happy times. These are happy days. The music is more prolific. There are more people providing music. There are more people that are doing more of what they want. People are feeling freer. All kinds of things are loosening up. These are really good, high-flying times. I'm so happy that I was born in this time where I can feel so much joy, where I can do so much good, where I can be of so much value, where I can have so much fun, when I can fulfill so many of the dreams that I want. I like living like that. I like living by the clarity of my example. I like teaching by the clarity of my example. I like knowing that when I feel this way, that people that either want it or there will gravitate around me. I love law of attraction. I love knowing that everybody is getting what they're offering vibrationally. I love igniting in people the knowledge of the tools that they need to know in order to help them to do deliberately what they mean to do. I like helping people understand that they've been offering a vibration and they haven't even known they've been doing it. It's so fun to see people awaken to this. It's so much fun. I love this. That's momentum, you see. So then, when you get into a feeling like that, you don't just drag yourself. Hello. This is a class about happiness. You be there. You be there before you get there. And when you're there, you don't have the ability to see the unhappiness in them. You don't look for their problems and try to clear them out so that in the absence, in the obliteration of the problem, they'll be left in the absence of the problem and they'll find happiness. You know better than that. You get happy. You get happy, you show up happy, you be happy, you present happiness, and if you're too happy for them, they'll get sick and they'll leave. You say, you can't teach what you don't feel. Yeah. And you have a really good life. You got all of this. We got most of what we said right out of you. Really good. Yeah.
I love your quote saying the basis of our life is freedom. I would love to hear more about that. The basis, the foundation of our life is freedom.
Everything that comes to you is because of your individual, personal, vibrational offering. No one can vibrate for you. No one can get inside of you and offer that vibration. You have absolute control over your point of attraction. And there cannot be a stronger definition of freedom than that. We often add, just to sort of get your attention, the statement, you are so free, you can choose bondage. And what happens with so many people is they don't believe that they are free because things are happening to them that they don't want. And they don't believe that they would choose unwanted things. But that's because they do not know how they're choosing. They think that the word yes means come to me. They don't realize that the word no means come to me, this thing I do not want. They don't realize that this is a universe based on attraction only, that there is no exclusion. And every time you say no to something, you're really saying yes to it because your attention to it activates it. So that freedom is rarely exercised consciously and deliberately. It's only the likes of you who are willing to take the time to really understand the vibrational basis of this universe. And when you do, when you finally understand that you create your own reality because of the thoughts you think, and that you have control over the thoughts you think because you have guidance that lets you know the vibrational nature of them, and then you get the exhilarating experience of getting to watch things actualize around you that you have deliberately honed into shape and place, that's freedom. That's freedom. That's empowerment. That is invincibility. Yeah.
Invincibility. Beautiful. Right now I'm experiencing or enjoying the most amazing freedom in love with my partner, and I see that as a reflection of my relationship with my inner being.
Everything is a reflection of your relationship with your inner being. No exception. And if you tend to that relationship first, every other relationship with every person, place, or thing will be good.
And I want to hear more about freedom with my inner being. How?
Well, you see, your inner being is the first front of actualized expansion as a result of you. This morning, Esther was getting herself ready. And she was thinking, there's not really enough time to really get myself ready. And then she thought, oh, well, this isn't about me, this is about Abraham. And no one really cares what Abraham's hair looks like. They'll just be brilliant and no one will notice. And we said to Esther, you are the manifested version of Abraham. In other words, she is the actualization of that which is Abraham. And so your question leads into that nicely. In other words, who is your inner being? Well, your inner being is expanding as a result of that which you are about. But then you are the reflection back of that expansion. We're taking this cycle of life to a new place of understanding, aren't we? So you were source energy, you were that inner being, which is really not the easiest thing to describe in your physical terms because it is consciousness. So you are this non-physical consciousness. And a part of that flows into that which is you here in this physical body, where you explore and expand. And that source within you, your inner being, becomes the immediate vibrational equivalent of that expansion. Now, that's all freedom. In other words, you freely came, you wanted to so much. You freely explore and you freely shoot rockets of desire without even realizing that you are doing that. It is a natural consequence of your focus. So, because of your freedom, you're selfish. We have to put selfish in there because we can't talk about freedom without the realization of self. Your selfish perspective, you're able to discern wanted and unwanted. I like that more than that. I like that even more than that. In other words, those preferences are constantly born within you, born from you. And as those rockets of desire or those preferences move into that vibrational vortex that we've been talking about, your inner being becomes that expanded version of you, freely and joyously and appreciatively. So then your work is to find a way to be a vibrational match to that expansion. And you are, even though you have become that, you are at all moments in time free to join it or not, free to experience the resonance of it, or free to disallow your resonance of it. But your inner being, who has benefited by your exposure to life, is also free to choose. But your inner being chooses that alignment. In other words, because you see, your inner being has an inner being who 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 has an inner being. And all of that is aligned with that well-being that humans scantily and without understanding it hardly at all call God. That energy stream, that consciousness of well-being, that stabilizing influence of all that is. And in any moment, every point of consciousness all along the way has the freedom to choose alignment and resonance with that or not.
I didn't realize
Because
that.
in every particle of the universe, there is wanted and absence of wanted. And every point of consciousness has the option of choosing. Most points of consciousness are choosing easily. The subatomic particles, the most of the beasts of your planet, all choosing alignment because the dominance of that well-being is so pervasive. And, oh, hear this, and because they are not focused consciousness into the contrast with the express purpose of taking thought beyond that which it has been before, like you are, you see. Starting to feel more appreciation of who you are in all of this? We're talking about the evolution of all species, but we're talking about the absolute freedom to be. But we cannot speak of freedom without putting enormous emphasis upon the overriding, underlying, empowering, pervasive, all-inclusive vibration of well-being, which you have the freedom to choose in this moment or not. So you kind of get how when you choose not to allow it, it feels so off. It's a big stream. It's a big stream that will dominate and will prevail regardless of what any of you do anytime, which is our way of saying you can't get it wrong. People talk often of, oh, well, we're just going to mess this planet up. We're going to get so out of focus and so out of balance, and we're going to do so many of the wrong things, which is a person's way of saying you're not doing what I want you to do. That's usually what they mean. Oh, you're destroying the planet. If you would behave more like me, it wouldn't be destroyed. And we say, it's not being destroyed. It's being rediscovered. It's being re-perpetuated. It's being re-energized. It's being refocused. There aren't enough of you here in your disconnection to destroy this planet. It's in the state of becoming. It's in an utter state of well-being. But you have the freedom to know that or not. You have the freedom to choose the thought that wrenches your gut and makes you worried and makes you misbehave. Or you have the freedom to accept the well-being and look for evidence of it and tune yourself to the frequency of that.
That point of my inner being having the choice, never heard before. It really hit me in my heart when you said it. Do they really?
No, your inner being is the exception to the basis of freedom.
But you were saying...
Everyone in the universe is free except your inner being.
But my inner being also has the freedom to choose away from what I would prefer. How dare they?
But you see, your inner being, in its alignment, will never choose away from what you really want. It might choose, and often does, choose differently than what you're vibrationally choosing. But that's why you have the benefit of that guidance, you see. And we think you're brilliant to intertwine the subject of this with freedom. Because you're wondering, just how free am I?
Yes.
If I don't choose what my inner being chooses, then what will happen? If you don't choose in any moment what your inner being chooses, what happens?
I don't feel good.
Does your inner being cave in and come with you? Esther thinks we should. Or does your inner being just stand its well-being ground, leaving you the freedom to join or not? You see, just shining the signal, beaming the signal, shining the light, being the well-being, the inner well-being, the inner being well-being, that you have the option of joining or not, joining or not, joining or not. Really good conversation. Haven't had this one before. Good.
Another aspect of it, the basis of my being here is my beautiful body. So exploring freedom about the body I have, or the body has. So on a cellular level, freedom.
Well, now this is an interesting thing, because the cells of your body are lined up with your inner being as well. And in the absence of resistance, which you're introducing through contradictory thought, the cells of your body have free rein to thrive. But if you are chronically crossways of the resonance with your own well-being, then while the cells of your body are doing their best to align, it is a more difficult situation for them. So that's why the evidence of your alignment, that resonance of alignment, feels like, in an emotional sense, joy, feels like appreciation, feels like exhilaration, but an even more vivid, actualized version of that alignment feels like vitality, feels like energy, feels like flexibility, feels like endurance, feels like well-being, you see. So your next question is, so do my cells have the freedom to choose?
Right.
And we say, yes. And the cells of your body are choosing, but they are influenced by the overriding vibration of your being, because you are the chooser of that alignment. They are all thriving. It's like, as peoples upon your planet, you are all choosing individually and not necessarily choosing with awareness of what would be best for the whole. But ultimately, and we're reaching far out there and asking you to come with us, even though it may be a stretch for you, when it comes right down to it, what's good for any individual is really what's best for the whole. And standing in a place where you're pushing against what you think is best, then you disconnect yourself from the good of the whole, you see. We're getting out there, starting to feel a little muddy to you. So let's pull back into the part of it that is clearer and just acknowledge that well-being happens, deal with it.
That feels free.
Good. Very good. Yeah. Now what?